Hey, Coach, I just had one question for you. I asked the other questions at the teleconference, but last year you had the boot, you had Bulldogs, boot,
Uh,
battle line, and bowl is your five Bs. I was wondering if you have anything for the six games coming up.
well, I'm still thinking about it. I'm trying to wait and present that possibly on Monday, but I'm trying to think of something unique, kind of put it in perspective for us like we did last year. But I don't yet, Trey, to answer your question.
Who helped you come up with that last year? You were like, I know you got like some creative team people and stuff, people working the recruiting department, put together a lot of interesting stuff too. Like who helped you with that?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I was sitting in the back of Fountain's special teams meeting, and it just popped in my head, to be honest with you. And it was right before the team meeting, so I just wrote it down and it caught on, I guess. But no, I didn't have anybody. I usually try to think of those things myself, and that way I'm bought in a little bit more to it.
Thanks, Coach.
Hutch.
Sam, you mentioned on the teleconference this morning that last year you had two of the three practices were walkthroughs, and this year you're going with all three walkthroughs. Is last year kind of a normal what you would like to do during a walk or during an open day, or what's normal, and how does this year kind of compare to other years you've had?
Normal to me would be walk one or two, and then you go Monday, Tuesday. If you decide to walk one, then you go a Monday practice, a Tuesday practice. Then at some point you're trying to scrimmage, your younger guys and things of that nature, which we did a year ago. We won't have enough. We've had some fingers, some hands, some different things, some concussions, some things of that nature, where going into this bye week, if we did that, I'd be really concerned about not only our ones and twos, but our scout team getting us prepared for the rest of the year. And I hate it for the kids, because there's some guys like a Joyner or Landon Rogers or guys like that, certainly a lot of them, McAdoo, Bakke, a lot of guys, Nico, that need tackle, football. But we also need, those guys are most of them, a lot of them are three of them are in our two deep, and the other guys are very valuable for the scout team as well. So we did not decide to do that, but normally you would probably do a walk, a scrimmage with young ones, then a Monday practice, probably spiders, and then a Tuesday practice, probably in shells. But we elected not to do that last year too. Seemed to work, so we kind of wanted to go back. The only difference was we were on a four game run regular season, where now we're in 5. So I did caution a little bit more, one, because of the health of the team, and two, because we had an extra game, and that extra game also includes, a Friday game. So I'd like it to look like it did a little bit more last year than what I do now, but I think we've kind of been cornered, or whatever the word is, into what we're doing now.
And this may be a dumb question, I'm not sure, but the walkthroughs that y'all do, what all goes into that, and what can you gain from a walkthrough compared to a regular practice?
Well, the physicality would happen certainly in a regular practice. A walkthrough, we basically go through 5 segments, and there's situational football, whether it be we're doing short yardage and goal line today. Against what we feel like Auburn's looks would be. And we're doing third down and some different things of that nature. So it's all situational, team run, things of that. And it's just a slowed down pace. I remember 3 years ago, our walks we were walking really fast, and so we decided to take the helmets off of them last year during this time, because if we didn't, the walks would become what we didn't want, the physicality part of it. You overemphasize the communication, before the snap. And the reason I like that is because the kids know exactly where to go and how to go do it. In a walk, you can kind of at times stumble into the right guy, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure our footwork's right at every position. We want to make sure that our communication pre-snap, that we know where we're going. We're trying to really amp up our mental game this week, and that includes extra film time for film on Auburn as well. And I do think this, though, it's a great question, by the way, but I do think this, that if you start practicing for a team too early, that there gets a lull in game week. And so we certainly didn't want that either. So there's a fine line in what we're doing, but the walks, I think, will benefit us much more than getting a lull, because we're not actually practicing physicality.
Otis.
You're muted, I think, Otis.
Bear with me. I'm sorry. I got
Fine.
unmuted, but I've got a recruiting question, and then I've got Nate sent a question to ask, a couple of questions to ask you, Sam. On the recruiting, do you see the transfer portal being a way to maybe restock some on the defense, the depth, starters and depth too? I mean, a chance to rebuild some players there.
Well, I think we have to, and certainly we're not through, obviously, with players leaving or anything of that nature as well too. I mean, we understand the portal's open and it will be open, and so we have to be ready for that. Actually, right before we got into this meeting with y'all, we were watching junior college players, things that, to me, I look at junior college the same as a portal transfer, somebody hopefully for immediate help. And so, yeah, to answer your question, we would certainly do that. And I think we'd be not very intelligent if we didn't.
Sam, Nate wanted me to ask you about Malik's availability, Chavis, the quarterback, and if his return, how it might realign the secondary, and then also what do you expect from Auburn coming off a bye week as well as you guys are?
Well, I think a little bit goes back with Hutch's question on how you practice. So let's take, for instance, Slusher probably couldn't practice if it weren't for walks. Chavis wouldn't be cleared yet unless it was for walks. Obviously, you're banking on that they'll be physically able to practice. And so you want to get them in the mental aspect of it, non-contact stuff. So that's another reason of why we're practicing the way that we are. Auburn, we obviously check what they're doing as well and things of that nature. I think they're doing, I don't know what they're doing practice-wise, but I think they're going maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, coming back on Sunday. I think they'll come back there. So it's just different philosophies there. But they're a very physical team. They're talented. I mean, they got a lot of talent. They can get to the passer. I think they're very talented on defense, and their quarterback's scary. Robbie's scary because he can run and throw both. And of course, they got Tank and 27 too. He's a really good player. I think his name's Hunter, and they're a good player. So they're a good football team. They've lost a lot of close. They've had some close games. Some they've won, some they've lost, and we haven't beat some teams since I've been here, but they're one of them that we 0-2 against. So we'd like to change that if we can.
Thanks, Coach.
Tom.
Hey, Sam, you actually just kind of touched on two of the things I wanted to ask you about. You had spoken generally about the health of the DBs, but like would Kari and Jaden be closer than you just mentioned on Slusher and Chavis?
Yes, Kyrie's been cleared, so he's fine. Jaden's probably not yet cleared it. Like, in other words, if we were practicing today, he'd probably be one of those guys in Indy, you know, to kind of check and see how he feels, things of that nature. But I'll be honest with you guys, I expect every one of our guys back for the Auburn game, with the exception of Day and Cat, who obviously are out for the season, and Torian Carter. But I don't know if he's out for the season, but those guys, I expect everybody else to be back by the way we're practicing, and we want to get a healthiest team as possible to get them back. But Kyrie's ready to go, and Jaden's close, and then the next one would probably be Slusher, and then probably the furthest away is probably Chavis.
Okay. And you just mentioned the Auburn series. I think from a fan perspective, they're probably still pretty boiling about what happened down there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then, you know, last year you've called that game like maybe one of your, you know, like a hiccup game. You know, you were tired heading to the break. Do you, how do you kind of view the Auburn thing in terms of, you know, a team that you maybe could have or should have beaten already?
Well, I think last year was actually the first time we were ever favored in a game that I was here, you know, since I've been here, and we lost. Started extremely slow. They started fast. We started slow, made a comeback, and then of course we had a sack fumble that really turned the game around. And then of course the year before it was kind of opposite. We came back on them, and then had the unfortunate situation there at the end. Obviously Auburn's a proud program and things of that nature. They're a good football team, but you know, we haven't beat them since we've been here, and certainly, you know, that's a driving force as well for us, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. And I just wanted to make sure I knew that had this down right. How many more days you practice this week, and what will the weekend
Yeah,
look like?
today and tomorrow, and then we'll give the kids off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we'll start a normal work week Monday.
Thanks.
Hutch.
Yeah, Coach, I don't think I saw Tykes Crawford and Marcus Henderson at the BYU game. Are they also dealing with injuries?
Yeah, both of them were, but we expect both of them to be back. Again, another Hutch deal where they wouldn't be necessarily if we were practicing, physically practicing. But I expect both of them back. But both of them got injured last week on Wednesday.
And also, I was wondering about Warren Thompson. I know he was dinged up a few weeks ago. He played a little bit this past weekend. Is he still dealing with something?
No. We just had we had an issue there, and we that was just a discipline deal for a half, and he's ready to go now, and I thought he handled that situation great. He was excited on the sideline and all that, and then went in there. But he's healthy now and doing well.
Gotcha. And the last thing I had for you, I know you've also got several guys you kind of mentioned earlier, guys like Bumper and Jaden Hazelwood that have been dealing with stuff but playing through it. Is this a week where you think they can maybe get refreshed or something?
Well, I hope so. You know, I think Bump needs it even worse than Hazelwood. You know, and Bump's injury is just nagging, which is affecting the way he plays. And hopefully we can get him back healthy. Hazelwood, same thing. He's dinged up a little bit, which you continually go week after week after week. Just doesn't get much better. And so we're certainly hoping that this week will help him as well. And I'll be honest with you, we're not going to throw KJ this week either. His shoulder's been sore, and he won't throw a ball this week. But that's fine. I mean, we'll get him back in Monday. He'll be ready to go.
Wrap us up, Otis.
Coach, I was going to ask you earlier, but I had to Nate two-parter. So on the class of 2023 high school kids, I know you've got, I think it's 23 commitments. Is there a
23.
chance you take some more high school kids in the 2023, Sam, or is it just probably portal?
Well, we certainly could, so I want to leave that open. Certainly could. To be honest with you, if we were going to take, there's a few out there that we would, okay? But if we were going to take somebody, let's say that could be here in January, right now, we would probably wait on the portal to see what goes on with that. Unless one of these 2 or 3 guys that we're recruiting said they wanted to come, and then we'd certainly take them.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, that wraps us up. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys. See you later. Have a good weekend.